Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing something a little different. We're not diving into data or markets. We're shifting our focus to the darkest corners of online interaction. Specifically, we're looking at when digital deception stops being about, small lies and escalates into real-world threats, into surveillance and even attempted violence.
And the source material for this is it's incredibly disturbing.
It is. These are true submitted stories from people who were targeted in popular dating apps. Our mission isn't just to share these events, but to really dissect the methods, the calculated tactics these predators use.
Exactly. When you put these stories side by side, a pattern emerges, a terrifyingly clear one.
It's not random.
Not at all. It's operational planning. The anonymity of the apps is a tool. It's for reconnaissance, for getting initial compliance. So it can move from a virtual lie to a physical threat with, shocking efficiency.
Okay, let's just get right into it then. Our first story is from someone we're calling Jake. He matched with a woman named Rachel on Bumble. And the setup was completely normal. She seemed great, had a marketing job, conversations were easy. They agreed to meet for dinner, public place, a restaurant. Jake gets there, he texts her, and he waits. 10 minutes go by, 20, then 30. No Rachel. He's just about to leave when a man walks directly up to him.
And this is the pivot point.
Yeah. This man, he's maybe mid-40s, kind of scruffy, wearing a black hoodie, and he asks for Jake by name. He says he's Rachel's brother, that she's sick, and insists Jake come back to their place nearby. He claims Rachel's phone died.
So this is the first tactic we need to define. We call this the proxy approach. The predator builds trust online, but then they substitute a third party, a brother, a friend, to bridge that gap from the public spot to the isolated one.
Right, and it gives them deniability.
Exactly. The actual predator isn't there, so if the victim refuses, there's no direct confrontation with them. It's a layer of insulation.
And Jake did refuse. He said he wouldn't drive or walk with the man and just asked for the address instead, but the brother wouldn't give it. When Jake turned to leave, the man literally stepped in front of him, physically blocked his path, and insisted Rachel specifically asked him to bring Jake over.
That's a huge escalation.
A huge one. Jake managed to get past him, but the man's goodbye was. It was this quiet, chilling, have a good night, delivered like a threat.
And the danger wasn't just hypothetical. The sources show that Jake later found out a server at that restaurant saw that same man, the guy in the hoodie, pacing outside for almost an hour before Jake even got there.
An hour?
He wasn't improvising, he was waiting. The restaurant was never the meeting point. It was a surveillance location to confirm the target.
That's deeply unnerving. But why go through all that? Why match and text for days if the plan was always some kind of ambush?
It's about two things: compliance and confirmation. The texting lowers the victim's guard. But more importantly, when Jake arrives and is talking to the hostess, the proxy can watch from outside and confirm, yes, that's him, that's our target. It minimizes risk.
And the horror didn't stop when he left the restaurant. Rachel's profile texted him, "Why didn't you come?" and then immediately denied having a brother. A few hours later, he started getting login attempts, his bank, his email, his Instagram.
They're trying to gain more leverage, more information.
Then came the final climax. Texts from unknown numbers, using his full legal name, which he had never shared on the app. The messages were just blunt. "You should have come with me. We saw you." And then a knock on his apartment door. He hears these heavy footsteps walking away. Later, he finds a photo shoved under the handle of a dumpster outside. It's a picture of him standing in the restaurant lobby with just one word written on the back.
You. That photo. That's a signature. It's proof of concept. The goal wasn't just the ambush that night, it was to establish post-incident psychological control. To make sure he knows, even though you escaped, you're still being watched. It creates that constant hyper-awareness.
Let's pivot to a second case, another attempted ambush. A man matched with Rebecca on Hinge. They agreed to meet at a busy arcade bar Friday night. But right away, the whole thing felt off. He pulls into the parking lot at 8 p.m., and it's almost empty. Just two other cars.
An immediate red flag.
And moments after he parks, he gets a text from Rebecca. She's not canceling, she's claiming car trouble, and asks him to meet her on the other side of the bar.
And this is a variation on that same luring pattern. We'd call this a crisis divert. The victim's already there, they're committed, but the predator needs to move them from safety to isolation. A believable emergency-like car trouble appeals to the victim's urge to help.
And on the other side of that bar, nothing. It was just dumpsters and a fence with dark woods behind it. His gut just screamed at him. He sent one text back, "This doesn't feel right, I'm leaving." As he starts to pull out, his headlights catch movement. Two men in ski masks run out from behind the bar, directly at his car.
Oh, wow.
He just floored it, sped off. It was only later he noticed a big dent in his trunk, like they had thrown something heavy at the car as he escaped.
So in both cases, the tactic is identical. Manipulate the location after the plan is set to move the victim to an uncontrolled, vulnerable area.
Okay, let's shift now from these ambush attempts to something deeper. A more calculated deception. This is long-term emotional grooming that led to actual physical violence. This story is about Marie and a man she knew as Michael. Marie met him on an app while she was really stressed out studying for board exams. He was charming, attentive. They had these long daily phone calls. A real emotional investment was built.
The connection felt deep, which is what the predator relies on.
But the digital red flags just kept piling up. Michael always refused to show his face. The excuses were endless stolen phone, broken camera, and their conversations had this really disturbing cycle. He would aggressively push for explicit photos, and when she said no, he'd apologize, beg for forgiveness, and then ask again the next day.
That's a textbook grooming tactic. We call it a boundary normalization cycle. The aggressive demand, then the apology. It conditions the victim to accept and forgive repeated violations of their boundaries. It wears them down over time.
He also did a lot of what's called future faking, always promising to meet soon, but something always came up.
Right. It keeps the victim invested in the relationship's potential without the predator ever having to risk a real-world meeting and expose the lie.
Well, the lie finally fell apart. Marie invited him to spend Christmas with her family. The day before he was supposed to come, he calls her, crying. He confesses everything. The photos were stolen from an Indonesian influencer. The name, the job, the nationality, all of fake. He even sent a picture of his real face. He was much older than he'd claimed.
And this is the critical moment. What happens when the mask comes off?
Well, when Marie ended it, he didn't show any remorse. He just snapped. He immediately started blaming her, saying she only liked the fake pictures, that she was shallow. He even tried to guilt trip her into letting him come for Christmas anyway, because he'd already told his parents he wouldn't be home.
And that shift is so telling. The goal was never affection. It was psychological dominance. It was about control, and he fought to keep it even after the lie was exposed.
Michael didn't just disappear. Almost a full year later, he finds Marie on Instagram. Just seeing his name made her feel sick. But the real terror came a few moments later. He messaged her a photo. It was a picture of the front of her house.
Unbelievable.
While she was on the phone with the police, he showed up. He started pounding on her door, yelling her name. Thankfully, the police station was close. They got there fast. And the arresting officer told her the final chilling detail. When they detained Michael, he was holding a knife.
A year later,
he came armed and prepared for violence. For our last story, we're looking at what we'll call identity weaponization, the most immediate kind of violation. This is about a man named Scott who matched with Jenna on Hinge. He moved the chat to Instagram and noticed some red flags that he unfortunately ignored.
what were they?
Well, the profile, Jenna X1, had 2,000 followers but only 2 posts, and she only followed men. Every comment was from, as he put it, thirsty-looking guys. No women at all. Still, he agreed to a spontaneous 9 p.m. drink.
That is a classic weaponized profile. It's built thinly, designed purely to attract male attention and get to that first meeting. The lack of any real social proof, no female friends, no history, is a huge warning sign that the identity is just a lure.
Scott gets to the bar. Almost immediately, the strange, scruffy man, a bit older, sits next to him, calls himself Rob, and he's aggressively trying to start a conversation. Scott texts Jenna for help, but then he sees his last message was marked seen, no reply. He checks Hinge, and Jenna's profile is just gone.
The trap is closing.
As Scott gets up to leave, Rob grabs his left wrist, grabs it tightly, and he whispers these absolutely terrifying words. "I'm Jenna. I'm sorry. Please don't go."
Wow.
He said the feeling of violation, of disgust, of realizing this man was the person he'd been talking to all along. It was just overwhelming.
That's the moment of intrusion. It bypasses the proxy and the crisis divert. The profile is just bait to get you into close physical range. Rob saying, "I'm Jenna," wasn't just a confession. It was meant to shatter Scott's perception of reality right there in the bar.
But it didn't end there.
Yeah.
Scott broke free, got home. Later that night, he hears an aggressively loud bang on his first floor window, and he hears a man's voice, Rob's voice, calling his name.
Scott.
Over and over. The next morning, there was a note on the glass that said, "I'll be watching you."
So if we connect all four of these cases, the common thread is leveraging that digital anonymity to maintain plausible deniability right up until the moment of the attack. Whether it's the proxy approach, the crisis divert, or weaponizing an identity, the end goal is the same. Total psychological dominance. They force the victim into that state of constant hyper-awareness because the predator can just vanish, leaving the victim knowing that the person who tried to ruin their life is still out there, completely unknown.
And that's the ultimate haunting thought, isn't it? The victims in these stories, they still don't know who was really behind the keyboard, or what their ultimate horrific intention really was. Was it robbery, disappearance, or something worse? They're just left grappling with the sheer uncertainty of that invisible threat, and that forces them to live with a kind of hyper-awareness that, I imagine, never truly goes away. Thank you for joining us on this harrowing deep dive into these true accounts. If these stories and our analysis of these frightening cases have captivated you, please hit the like button, share this deep dive with others, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs, for more true horror stories and frightening cases. Goodbye for now, and stay safe.